Hello, everybody, and welcome to DC Time. I'm Dean.
I'm Chris.
Thanks again for joining us. We're glad to get together and share some more, share our time with you guys. And we thank you again so much for the ones out there sharing your time with us. We really appreciate it. Really appreciate the comments. Again, I know Chris, he does a good job on getting back with all of you on that. Want you all know I do read those comments, and I appreciate you out there. It does help us, helps our conversation a lot of times.
Yeah.
We're talking about, what we may bring this week to the show, or we'll talk about the comments and then just our journey and our learning. And so I just want to say again, thank you for that. This week, not sure what exactly we're all going to cover. We're going to just, like I said, we just turned the camera on. And we're going to talk about what we've been talking about this morning. And this has to do with a lot of what we talked about today is just our everyday view of things.
Experiences.
Yeah, our experience, how we're going through the day. And
just the circumstances you find yourself in all the time. It doesn't change.
No. And it's always, things, like I said, we've said it. Others say it. My daughter just said it this week. Man, things seem to be going so good, and then all of a sudden, the wheels come off.
Bless your heart.
Right?
Yeah.
Things happen constantly. Some of them are small, some of them are huge. We're not going to escape these kind of circumstantial problems.
Yeah.
Or we're not going to get out of, what's going to come as far as disaster type things that's going to come in our world next week, because they're coming. It's coming for somebody. It's a disaster. We live in a time where there's sin and death and just horrific things happening all the time. And we're coping, doing the best we can. We're for anybody that can help in those situations. But it does get depressing when you realize, like, wow, this is the time we're in. So a lot of what we do here or on the show, or if anybody's new out there, we try to want to encourage ourselves and encourage you that even that disaster, it's all okay.
Yep.
Their Father has a plan. He knows what he's doing. And in fact, all this sin and trouble, it's going to be turned for the good.
Yeah.
All things work for the good. It's a radical truth. It's in Romans 8:28.
Yep.
I've heard that. Now I actually kind of believe it.
Yep.
In the face of
He's going to turn it.
Extreme circumstances where it's like, how can you say that? How does this work for the good?
Yeah.
We're going to get there eventually. So we're going to talk about some of that. Let me start with a verse here. 1 Corinthians 3:16, you are the temple of God, and the Spirit of God dwells in you. That's a good thought there to hang on to. And then listen, Ephesians 2:22 says, you also are built together for a habitation of God.
Wow.
Yeah. You, concordant here, also are being built together for God's dwelling place in spirit.
A conciliated God to his world.
Yeah, he's not upset with you.
He's not holding our sins against us.
No.
At all during this administration.
That's a radical truth.
It's a radical truth. Just everything you've said here, these scriptures you've said, I think it's Acts 17:24. God does not live in temples made by hands.
Right.
And you could say that the Jewish synagogue, the whole temple system that Father set up,
right,
he was in the Holy of Holies.
Right.
Right? At the death of Christ, we have that tear of the barrier between man and God is torn asunder. And these verses are evidence that things have changed radically. And he doesn't live in temples made by hands. He lives in us. The very first one I love that you read.
Oh, yeah.
The Spirit dwells in you.
Right.
That is not the easiest thing to make work in your mind, because you're aware of all your thoughts and you're aware of when you blow it. It doesn't change the fact. That's true. His Spirit is in you.
Yeah, Paul says some radical things. We are in this administration. We're in a time of pure grace.
Yeah. Unmerited favor.
Yeah,
That's the definition.
that's a big one, right? And like I said,
You deserve the opposite, but he's lavishing grace.
Yeah, the world we live in wants, you to, you do something, you do good, you get rewarded. Of course, there is.
That was the Jewish thing. You do this, I do that. That was the method.
And in our relative view of the way, back to circumstances, everyday life, obviously that's why we apply these things, because that's how we live every day. We know that there's, I do this, there's a consequence. That's bad. I do this good thing, hey, or now I learned to do
Works
this.
in my favor. Yeah.
Now things are helping me get along through the day.
Right.
So we're not, we get all that. That all applies, obviously, in a relative view. But these big spiritual truths, we're not seeing clearly. We're just getting a glimpse here of like, wow, how's all God's working all this?
Yeah.
To where everything's going to work toward the good in His plan.
Yeah.
That's wow. How's that going to work?
It's amazing. And we were talking about upstairs, your daughter's car. The creation of the headaches that it's the normal everyday circumstances we live in. Here's what I am thinking right now is we will eventually live in a place where none of that is going to happen. So by contrast, we must have memory of this life if we are going to go someplace where all of that disappears, and it's sort of like everything does go your way.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's going to be incredible when we live without these circumstances, but we must be able to draw upon them in my mind to make sense with, oh my gosh, look at what we live in now.
And nice too, along with that thought, to go with no matter how horrific of the situation you find yourself in, or how desperate or how sad, how it's going to pale. That's going to just pale. You're going to be like, oh yeah, I got through that. You'll be able to look, that thought of looking back, but it's not going to hurt like it does now.
No,
it's going to be okay.
I got
through it.
Our apostle talks about it will transcend, the burden of glory will transcend the affliction you're going through today. And I know some of you are going through it. Hang on.
Here's something funny I'll just bring. I don't know if it's going to fit, but Jamie just sent us a text right before we was turning this camera on here. It was just kind of funny. A different view. And it's a picture of...
You could probably...
The parting,
attach the picture.
Parting of the Red Sea, parting of the sea, right? Moses leading out the Israelites, right? Is that right? He's going to lead them through in the story of the parting of the sea. But he's got there's two fish right up to they're on one side of the wall, and they're like, oh, great. I'm already running late, and then this happens. They can't get across. It's just funny that we was talking about all these problems.
The circumstances,
things we
complain Wouldn't you
about.
know it?
I never thought of that. Did we ever think about the fish that couldn't get across?
Couldn't get through?
That? I know, they couldn't get through.
That was the first traffic jam. Oh, gosh, that's good.
That's funny.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Chris, what...
Well, we've been talking about circumstances upstairs. He's been sharing about his family. I've been sharing about mine. This week, loved ones. Okay, I mean, I'm in conversations with people all the time, and we'll find a place where there's a difference. We see things differently. Shocking, right? I mean, that is the world we live in. And I have loved ones, and I have a sincere desire for them to see something like I see it, just like they have a sincere desire for me to see the thing they see, the way they see it. I know everybody within the sound of my voice, these situations, you've been in them. They're very common. Mm-hmm. It's going to continue to be common for as long as we're drawing breath on this earth. This is going to be one of the circumstances we deal with. And I thought it was interesting. I found an article. Well, actually, I had taken a picture of this article in my phone because I liked it. It's just two little paragraphs, but this guy named Peter M. Lord is the author of this. But see how this hits you. Recognizing God's truth. How does someone recognize God's truth? Is it the Baptists? If so, which Baptists? Is it the Methodist truth? How about Roman Catholicism? Is it their truth? Which version of God's truth do you follow? How many people you think have asked that question to themselves? This guy says the answer is that you are only obligated to keep the truth that God gives to you, to live according to the light God has placed before you. Does that sound familiar? We talked about our small lamp last week.
Yeah, I really like that.
We will never have the peace of God until we quit trying to get other people to live up to our ideas or trying to live up to the truths that God has given another. Now, Scripture is ripe with this people believe this, these people believe this. God has this group in blindness. This group, there is an illumination of truth. Saul was blinded on the road to Damascus. Look at the truth that was poured out in front of him. You talk about him having his own lamp of truth that he couldn't even get his own Jewish brothers to see. I mean, it's amazing. And the peace should be derived from this understanding that this is that personal relationship. This is why the veil is torn. We have that Spirit of God in us. And He is revealing to us a certain amount of faith, a certain amount of truth. And we should be content with just that. You know? And let it continue on its timetable, its path, where it leads. You and I have said how sensitive we have become in reading Scripture today, and all of that sensitivity has come with the further revelations and realizations we've got. Now it's like amazing. We'll reread something and go, did you see? I didn't see this. I bet I've read it 10 times. I'm wanting to go back and reread the Acts administration, all of Acts again. I'm wanting to go through there and see everything that was going on at that incredibly unique time. Because every time I do, I see something new. That's one of the great things. Last week, we also talked about something in the PSN that says God's truth is inexhaustible. What a great word to describe God's truth. Inexhaustible. There's no end to it.
Right.
So it kind of makes sense to me that all of us are somewhere in that, and when we're expecting someone else to see it our way and it doesn't work out, well, we shouldn't be shocked by that. We shouldn't be surprised by that.
Yeah. There's so much that Chris said that, rattles around in my brain, and I like to think about, and I really appreciate that. And one of the points that Chris has mentioned many times, and you can say what your father-in-law said.
My father-in-law was an awesome guy, super sharp, super wise guy. I really appreciated him. He would always say, when people come to you for your counsel, most of the time they're really looking for your approval. And when he first told me that, I was a young kid, and I was like, what does he mean by that? Well, you put some tread on the tires, and then you start realizing when people come to you and they say they want your counsel, they really would like your approval of what they think they should do, or the avenue they want to take, and they want your approval on that.
I know. And then, so even within that, like I said, the way we're talking now about our circumstances, the way we view our journey or our learning. And so I think of that, or you think of that perspective, and it's amazing to look back just recently and wonder, in me, this stuff is in me too.
Yeah.
Where am I going to get truth? Who am I going to? Why is there such a need that boils up to where now I need to get somebody to, hey, see this truth that I'm seeing. See, I got this, my little lights right here, So why was there's such a need there? Again, it's wonderful to share awesome news with somebody. We're always going to try to do that. What people may or may not see, this awesome news that I have. But there's also another function within that. A lot of times I was doing the very thing that Chris is talking about here. Well, maybe I'm just still, you're still searching out approval.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you just
Yeah,
want,
that's a great, yeah.
you're still searching out to be, okay, I'm right. I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know how we do that?
Yes.
Because we're so...
It's an innate thing in the human being.
Yeah, it's in all of us, for sure. And that's okay, but that's
we always want that assimilation, that...
Well, yeah.
And
if everybody just saw it like me,
then we'd all be dinos.
So that's probably real common. We all know that, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny how some of these things kind of hide in there. We don't even realize what, or even speaking for myself, I didn't realize, what am I really doing here?
Mm-hmm.
What was the point? Why am I doing that? Or why am I trying? Why is it such a focus now, like I said, to get somebody to see a particular thing? Maybe that shouldn't be the focus. That's exactly what Chris is thought. That's why I love a lot of what I read there. That's awesome to concentrate more, selfishly in a way, or something about your own journey, what God's doing, knowing He's doing the same thing in His other creation.
Yeah.
He's doing the very same thing.
That's what I was getting ready to say, that it is the human being's desire to get a hold of the steering wheel and steer these relationships.
Right.
And so forth, and it's a sincere reason for it.
Right.
You love your loved ones.
Right.
You want them to see what you see and be excited about it like you do. But you and I have been learning, through this sovereignty message, to let go of the will, and even the other let them. Yeah, their direction is their direction. It really is trusting everybody, ourselves and everybody else, in the Father's hands, His capable hands. We say it. Mm-hmm. We say it all the time. He's sovereign. He's capable. Who else do you want? Who else do you want, driving the ship or whatever? And yet when we run into these situations, it is the human being's nature to quickly try to take control. The peace that this author is talking about is that letting go.
Right.
It really is. And that comes just like Paul's message. We were just talking about how progressive Paul's message was. It's become more and more clear to me that he didn't, everything was not downloaded to him on the road to Damascus. His evangel, was parceled out in installments, and he became knew greater truths as his experience went on. And that's been certainly been our experience. I can say that now. Yeah. Certainly has been. We are so sensitive to things now based on recent revelation realizations. It's amazing, and then to know that it's inexhaustible. Well, that's great news to me, that truth is inexhaustible.
Yes, I like that too. All right, well, let's wrap it up there.
Okay.
So,
y'all have a great week. Appreciated all the comments, as Dean said. Frank, that was a great one. I didn't know you didn't know the word bumfuzzled. That's a word in our family we've used for years.
Bumfuzzled all the time. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's just an Indiana thing.
Yeah, who knows? It might be. So y'all take care. Have a great week.
See you next week.
Bye.